Now that Season 8 is finished and the next season is still about a month off, I figured why not discuss the 6 characters that Death Battle showed off at the end of Popeye vs. Saitama. This is the 4th time they've given us these previews, and I'm personally kind of a fan of them. It is a nice way to see what's coming next season and overall get the community hyped up by seeing what matches we have to work with. As someone who has been with the series since Season 1, I remember the days back when they only showed off like one combatant for an entire seasonal break. As Season 3, we legitimately just had Bayonetta. But God, this is so much better now, because at least there's some variety. I'll give them that. In terms of like hype reveals, none of these characters really scream that to me personally, though I think there are some pretty good inclusions in this list. Having Boba come back is a pretty nice touch, in all honesty. Boba was one of the first 2 combatants, and it's kind of fitting to have him return. Hopefully fighting someone that isn't Samus this time. Not that I think they would do a Samus vs. Boba Fett 3, but I mean, if I'm discussing it, I might as well bring it up. There's no way it's going to happen, but I mean, you never know. In terms of who Boba Fett would probably be fighting, it's a toss-up in all honesty. There's a variety of opponents that are okay enough for him. It's not that Boba Fett just doesn't really have that one combatant that just screams this is the episode they would do. If I had to make some predictions, Star-Lord seems like a character that they could do, but I kind of doubt it. I don't feel like Star-Lord would really work well against Boba Fett. Like, essentially a character that does nothing but banter versus someone who barely even speaks. It would be kind of meh, honestly. I've seen Wolf paired up against him, which is kind of cool, and I would be hyped to see Star Fox get another rep. However, I don't think it would work in all honesty. Though, seeing a Star Fox character beat a Star Wars character would be absurdly funny, so that would be cool, even though I doubt Wolf wins that. For the actual opponent I think Boba Fett is likely going to get, I would say it's the Predator. It's a simple connection. Both are alien bounty hunters that are generally silent. It's a connection. It's fine. Not personally insanely hyped for it, and Boba Fett certainly isn't a character that was desperately needing to return in all honesty. But considering he was one of the original 2 combatants on the show, I'm more than hyped to have him back, and I hope this episode's good. Moving on to Vegeta, he is on literally the exact opposite spectrum. We all know he's fighting Thor. It's such a perfect matchup for the 2 of them. It's simple, but it's fun. Vegeta, as a combatant that's been on Death Battle, he definitely deserves another episode. I mean, his fight with Shadow was fun, but it's so archaic by modern standards, and I'd honestly be fun to see Vegeta get a modern analysis, especially since we have all of Super and all the new movies and all the new material in general to look at for Vegeta. In terms of what I want from the episode, I generally want to see all of Vegeta's new transformations used. Will they use them all? Probably not. Though I hope he doesn't just jump immediately to Super Saiyan Blue. Like, give it a little levity. If it's a longer fight, like, imagine if this was the season finale and they literally just reveal it. I mean, by that logic, there's no way it's the season finale considering they showed it off, but imagine if it was. Imagine if we have Vegeta just start in base, clash with Thor, then we just have the whole thing like Goku vs. Superman, and it's just Super Saiyan 1, Super Saiyan 2, God, Blue, Alter Ego. I said Alter Ego. Ultra Ego. Ultra Ego. I'll dang and Rappa reference. I'll take it. Whatever. But yeah, like having Vegeta go through all of his different transformations. Maybe have him in Ultra Ego, like, use the final explosion. Yes, I know most people, and myself included, would prefer if he died using it, but like, it's Death Battle. We kind of have to have Vegeta. We kind of have to have him survive. We want Vegeta to win. And like, obviously, you gotta have a good final flash. Generally, just Vegeta stuff. Yada yada yada. As for Thor, obviously you want to see him like manipulate electricity, a good meaty hit with the hammer. I'd love to see them use some of his more like lesser repped abilities, since Thor can control the earth and like weather. That'd be super fun for them to do. Obviously I want to see some planetary level destruction for these 2 characters, like dear God. The most Thor has done on Death Battle, besides yeeting Raiden into the sun, is like destroying half a moon. Let this man encave a couple planets. Like, let's go in with this. Let's have Thor be as raw and as powerful as he's known for. In terms of the 4 completely new combatants, if I had to pick a character I'm most interested in seeing, I would say it has to be Jinx. I've recently started watching Arcane on Netflix, and it's a really good show. Honestly recommend. One of my friends is super big fan of League of Legends, and he's been trying to get me into it. Might do a duo prediction with him when that episode comes out. Who knows? Who knows? We'll see. But in terms of Jinx as a character, I'm really starting to like what the show's doing with her, and she's a pretty fun character. I'm enjoying her. I know she's kind of just the Harley Quinn of League of Legends. At least that's what I've generally heard. And I haven't seen enough of her to really make an own solid opinion on her yet. But in terms of what I've seen of her, I really enjoy her. And watching her mess around with a bunch of bombs is just enjoyable. And it's really funny. In terms of who her opponent is, I mean, I already said Harley Quinn. Yeah, it's definitely Harley Quinn, let's be honest. And that is kind of disappointing to get such a new and interesting character in Jinx, only to have her paired up with the DC character. However, Jinx might actually win this. But what I've seen in terms of scaling, I've seen some people legitimately say Jinx might actually have a chance, which is interesting. And honestly, this gives me like massive Zuko versus Shoto vibes, as I got into My Hero Academia like just before that episode was announced, and now I'm getting into League of Legends right before this episode is announced. It's a beautiful coincidence, and I'm honestly super hyped to see what Jinx can do. I don't know if she wins, and if she loses, oh well, Harley's a fun enough character. I'm happy to see her win on Death Battle. But if Jinx wins and Jinx finally destroys DC's winning streak, it'll be a moment that some of us fans have legitimately waited an entire decade to see. For what I want in terms of Harley in this episode, just have her use her general gadgets. I'm assuming they'd probably go for a more modern Harley design, though I'd really love it if it was the comics version. But, semantics. Assuming it's not Harley, though, I'm not sure who Jinx would honestly fight. Honestly, it kind of has to be Harley. I don't feel like there's any other character they would really pair Jinx against, which is unfortunate. But, I mean, I'm still ultimately fine with the matchup. And even if it is another DC character, at least it's another DC character off the list. And eventually they're gonna run out, right? Eventually. Scarlet Witch. Yeah, standard Marvel character, yada yada. Seen this shit 100 times before. She's fighting Zatanna. This is an episode that I'm perfectly fine with. Love Scarlet Witch as a character. She's one of my favorite MCU characters from what I've seen. Really, really cool character. Honestly, hope she wins. I've heard her versus Zatanna is super debatable, and it could actually go either way. Though I know Wanda has the ability to manipulate probability, which is like super broken, but I know how DC characters are, which is why like Harley might even win like her match with Jinx just because she's a DC character, because by God, they give those characters, they always give them something stupid. So I could totally see Zatanna like winning, but like regardless, I'm hyped to see Scarlet Witch. She's a character I like. It's a Marvel character. It's a Marvel episode. We all knew we were probably gonna get one. It happens. At least it's a cool one. I'm fine with it. I hope they do a lot of magic, and I hope it's better than Strange versus Fate. Tetsuo. Now, Tetsuo, that is a character. That is certainly a character. And if this was like a year ago, I would legitimately, this would be one of the few characters I would legitimately just have no clue who they are. Since I've been getting more and more into the Versus community over the last year, I'm actively aware of where Tetsuo is from. I'm very much aware of the impact his movie had and like it helping bring anime to the West. So I'm really happy that like a character from Akira is getting to appear on Death Battle. And I overall like the theme that Death Battle is kind of going for this season of characters that they wouldn't expect to be on Death Battle, at least with some of the new reveals. Obviously, like Wanda, Vegeta, and Boba, you would expect, but an Akira character, like I don't think many people would have expected that. And Tetsuo is certainly a cool character from what I've seen out of him, though keep in mind, the only thing I know about his character is from one of the other Versus series done by some of Death Battle's fans. I believe it was Ducko who did Tetsuo versus Mewtwo. Yeah, I believe it was their channel that did that. Honestly, epic animation, really well done. Obviously, it's not like a Death Battle quality, but for a fan-made series, it's super hype, and I enjoyed every moment. Would highly recommend. I might even put a link to it in the description. So I'm very happy that Tetsuo is going to be on the show. He's a character that certainly deserves it. He might be a little lesser known, but I'm kind of happy that they're trying to branch out with lesser known characters now. In terms of who he's fighting, there's two options. One is good. The other one is Magneto. Please don't have him be fighting Magneto. That is going to be super boring. That is a matchup that lives and dies with the fact that like, oh, we can control stuff with our minds. We're so cool. And it's like, they don't even have the same power. One's a psychic, the other one just controls metal. Like, seriously, please don't have him fight Magneto. I am praying that it's Mewtwo. I'd kill to have Mewtwo have another episode. One that's actually good, because as much as I'm willing to tolerate Mewtwo versus Shadow, and as much as I think the community honestly, like, oversells how bad it is, like, it is not a 1 out of 10. Excluding Justin Bieber versus Rebecca Black, because that's just objectively bad. That is objectively a 0 out of 10 episode. But, like, in terms of bad episodes, I think it's definitely down there. You could argue bottom 10. I wouldn't. I don't mind the episode that much. Like, sure, Shadow doesn't get any love, but, like, whatever. Mewtwo's presented perfectly well. Moving back to Tetsuo, yeah, I want him to fight Mewtwo, obviously. The connection is good. The fight would be interesting. I'd love to see Mega Mewtwo Y actually presented and done in a very interesting way. Also, just seeing a lot more moves used from Mewtwo. It could be Sprite, it could be 3D. I honestly think I would prefer it to be 3D just because I don't know, I'm a sucker for those 3D animations with Pokemon. Like, I mean, I got Goro vs. Machamp, one of my favorite episodes they ever did, and I would just kill to have another epic 3D animation with the Pokemon. Though if it's 2D, it'd still be cool. I want Tetsuo to be portrayed well, simply because he is a character that deserves to be portrayed well. And I want to see Mewtwo, if Mewtwo wins, which I've heard Mewtwo does, I want to see Mewtwo done well. That original Pokemon movie can still give me chills to this day. Mewtwo is such a well done and enjoyable character, and I would just love to see him get a dub on Death Battle. With that being said, we have one more to discuss, and Tanjiro is a character that I'm honestly shocked is here. To be blunt, I didn't think his series was legible for Death Battle yet. Like, the My Hero characters, I was honestly shocked Todoroki got on when he did, because his story is still so ongoing. And as a character, you wouldn't expect it, honestly. Like, obviously, Zuko's a perfect matchup for him. Like, you literally can't do better. But, like, he had so much more show to go. Like, it's a bit early to just throw him on. Sure, he beat Zuko regardless, but, like, well, ironically, ironically, the Death Battle team said that they were originally going to have Zuko win, but then the speed feat gave it to Shoto. So, yeah, Shoto would have actually lost, which is something I really have to honestly disavow. Don't use characters until their story's probably mostly done. I know people can argue is that, well, at that point, you might just never use them then. Like, dear God, we wouldn't have a single One Piece fight. And yes, that's true, but it's to a certain extent. Like, obviously, if a show's just starting, like say that you used Steven like back in season 1 of Steven Universe, you can't really do that. He's not a fully fledged character at that point. And like for the One Piece cast, they still had enough media to honestly get a power set up where they should be, and I'm fine with that. But like Tetsuo, who only has like 1-2 seasons of his show, which is still ongoing as far as I know what Demon Slayer is doing. Honestly, I would have personally waited. But if he's here, I think that's a cool addition. It's a modern anime. I think it's definitely worthy of representation on the show. In terms of who he's fighting, I've literally only heard Jonathan Joestar. That's apparently because they have similar powers or something. I'm not familiar with either character, so obviously I wouldn't know. But if that's the matchup, I'm fine to see JoJo get a 3rd episode. If it's anything like Dio versus Alucard, it's going to be amazing, and I'm going to love it. Yeah, that's about it. I have really nothing else to say in this episode. I hope it's good. I hope Tetsuo was done well. I hope Jonathan's funny, and they actually portray him well in terms of his strategic mind. And yeah, that's about it. What do you guys think of the 6 confirmed combatants? Do you like him? Do you hate him? Do you wish it was someone else? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. This has been 10 Ton, and before you ask, the franchise win rates are coming. It takes time. And I've graduated and I'm looking for a job, so I have other priorities at the moment. But it's coming. It'll be out before the season starts. Don't worry. This has been 10 Ton. Peace.